it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. And we're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth in a great viewer question, and that was to look into really their question of why would somebody go after their character? Why would the emotional manipulator, the narcissist, or the psychopath engage in character assassination, where they go after someone's good reputation and try to destroy you personally, professionally, economically, materially, or even in front of your family? Because it is really at hitting you where it hurts. They want to engage in an air of superiority, intelligence, and sort of that very sly, predatory-like demeanor with which can either be covert, meaning under the surface, which it's always kind of lurking there, but you get kind of blobs or blurbs of it that it is lurking, and until you hear these little quips under their breath or from other people, it's usually shocking or stunning when people find that they are the target of character assassination. When they have created a smear campaign against you, meaning they have told malicious things about you, usually falsified, made up about you behind your back, exposing a pathological lie sequence, making you look bad, taking a little small, mistake that you might have made and blowing it out of proportion, enlarging it with the hugest magnifying glass so that it's always glaring about you and you're not able to see your true qualities. It can really take people down emotionally. And what I basically call is like psychological hijacking, where this fear, this terror, this feeling of loss is so complete. It is so devastating and so deep. Someone feels like they cannot be themselves. They tend to then, engage in the mirror effect and then begin to pathologically doubt themselves. They become paralyzed with fear, paralyzed that, something is going to go out of control. And oftentimes their life feels very out of control when they are target of this character assassination. And why do they do it? Because of this guttural, instinctual reaction, which is that feeling of complete terror or self-doubt or anger or self-loathing or loathing for this individual. So they can disrupt you in this manner at the very fiber and core of your being. In other words, if they can get you to lose control, lose the grip that you have on reality that you have been doing so well with, that is their target all along, especially in the spectrum of the psychopath. They want their targets or their supply, their quote-unquote manipulationships, as a viewer said. They're not really relationships because there is no sort of, relating in the realm of truth. There is, it's on a whole different quantum level with which they're relating. They don't engage in the energy of really humanity, heart, emotional content, the feeling of, having a nostalgia or a connection to past or a connection of sentimentality. They don't engage in that connection. They're just devoid and empty of that in their heart, but it's also part of the way that their mind is wired. And so, as you can understand now, probably from watching the channel, if you've been with us from some time, your thoughts affect your emotions, which affects your body, which affects how you feel and how you behave and the choices that you make, the decisions that you make. And so that creates then your temperament, which becomes a mood over time, which then becomes your identity or your personality. So if this is allowed to perpetuate, this can become a very, very difficult and uncomfortable situation. And so as you can understand, a narcissist or a psychopath will brighten their lights, i.e. their ego, i.e. the way that they look in the circle of influence, whether it's in a family, a business, a community. If they can, politics is replete with this. But this is just, how they operate. Some people say they work dirty. It is underhanded, it is sly, it is parasitic, it is not fair. But if they can paint a horrible picture about another person and continually, mirror that back to them, which has nothing to do with reality, do you see how this is an easy manipulation or an easy win for someone who plays dirty? Now, most people, I feel definitely on this channel, do not think, behave, or act that way. They're not trying to engage in this sort of emotional manipulation tactic. That is not pleasurable for them. In their core belief of who they are, they don't believe you have to cheat to win. They don't believe in hurting others in order to get what you want. They don't believe in defaming others to make themselves look good. They will look good on their own merit. They will look good, i.e. productive, becoming the person who they are by continual focus on that positive goal. So that is the why, because it's if they can keep you in a constant state of uncertainty, self-doubt, self-loathing, the inferiority complex, not feeling good enough, do you see how then that sets up a chronic and continual feeling within your body, which releases the proteins from all the muscles, the bones, the cells, and then creates a very strong circuit in the mind, which then says, I am less than, I am not as smart as, I am not as good looking, I am not as talented. And so it just sets up over time this really hardwired sort of circuit, if you will, between the brain, the neural pathways of the brain, and as well as the central nervous system as it sends down into the autonomic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system within the body, which is basically our hard wiring, which is a miracle in and of itself. But if they can get you into that blueprint, as we've been saying here, it's like a template, it's like a hard wiring or like a hard drive in a computer. It becomes how you feel, how you become, and then furthermore your identity, which is repeated over time. And that is then set up kind of a molecular or even a DNA. It can even trigger the genetic release of proteins to trigger you into disease. In other words, it's the stress that causes you to drink. It's the unhappiness that causes you to gamble. It's the sort of unfulfillment that causes you to overeat. It sets all those negative chains, and then you're living a very unhealthy life or a identity which is not pleasant or not positive. And this is one of character assassination. So that's why I encourage you, especially in the recovery journal, to give yourself a chance to get out and purge that negative character assassination, which is only to make them look good, and then they're going to continue to repeat that. So once you're rising up, it gives them a chance to hit you down even harder. So that's why we talk about the intermittent, where they'll intermittently give you the positive accolade, the I'm sorry, see, etc., and then you begin to trust again. And then that's when they, go in for the even deeper plunge. And that's why people go into fits of like, I can't believe this is happening to me. They find themselves in the legal system. They find themselves looking for a new job, a new family, a new place to live, because it is so severe. So that's why I encourage you, no matter where you are at in your journey, is to take that recovery date with yourself, where you're now following up on that whole new tangent and branch of yourself, where you're following up, excuse me, you're following up, you're following up on those really deep, authentic parts of you, where you're able to open up your senses and resensitize yourself. You're able to go and support yourself and encourage yourself to pursue new locations, experiences, places, images, sounds, and scents where you can take in and begin to receive and give yourself a chance to receive new images, feelings, experiences, sounds. You take that wounded part of yourself and and give yourself a chance to become whole in that moment. In other words, it's the the whole you. In other words, the strong part of you that's taking that little wounded part of you and saying, I'm going to go now and indulge my healed part of myself. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It doesn't have to cost a lot of time. It doesn't need to be super ingenious, but it needs to be something new for you where you're taking out that healed part of yourself. Where you say, just for 1 or 2 hours, I'm going to be completely healed. I'm walking out this door. I am now the healed person. I'm leaving the shoes of that wounded person behind, and I'm now taking you out for 2 hours. And what would that whole healed person like to do? Would it like to go to a pottery shop? Would it like to go to a museum? Would it like to go to an old church? Would it like to go to a bookstore, a record store, a restaurant to try a new exotic form of drink or of food? And I don't recommend getting drunk, wasted on drugs. That is not the point. It's to take yourself into a new little place which you have always kind of eyed, but has caught your eye, but you've never had the full kahootsas or wherewithal to go and follow up on that and say, I wonder what it is like in there. I wonder how the people are. I wonder what the experience is. I wonder what would happen if I signed up for a class there, where you give yourself a chance to follow up. And so therefore, when you do that, you're reformatting the new, really sort of, you're triggering the DNA in your body to feel and behave and make choices in a new manner. And then slowly you're triggering these new experiences, which gives you a chance to create a whole new you. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.